This is part 7 of the Python programming tutorial series for the Blender game engine. Okay, and here we're going to continue kind of cleaning up the code because this is really important. I mean, really important. One is I always put lots and lots of comments everywhere I go. A lot of times I'll put comments per line just because even months later you come back and look at your code and you'll have to start kicking yourself as to what you were doing. And then I also like to make sure that when I define something, like in this case for the cylinder, well, maybe I wouldn't call it yellow cylinder because yellow would imply that the cylinder is always yellow. So if I knew it was always going to be yellow, then yellow cylinder would be a valid name. And so I'm not going to change the color of that cylinder, but always make sure that these have representative names so they make sense within the code as well. So I say, okay, yeah, I'm moving the position of the yellow cylinder. In that case, maybe I won't need a comment because it's that obvious. Right? But now also in here, see, notice in here within main we're doing this keyboard checking routine, and then we're checking the objects through their own method down here. So I don't really necessarily need to do that since these are just checking keyboard events. Maybe I'll just do that. Maybe I'll call this, let's do this, we're just going to come down here and we're going to create a new method, and I'm going to call check keyboard events. Like that. So suddenly I've scrunched it in and main has nothing in its code. So I'm going to take this out of here, check object positions here like this, and I'm going to modularize it so like this, and then alright, so now this is now going to be end of the main method, and this is going to be end of the check keyboard events method, like that. Alright, so now I've kind of grouped them in differently. So now all that this routine is doing is just calling these different events. It's calling check keyboard events, which is this, and then it comes down here and it calls check object position. So suddenly it's becoming a little more organized. Now later on, these are just methods. Now we're also going to create classes, but we'll build up to the classes, and you can learn about that in my other Python tutorial series for BPY type stuff. That's actually, I teach that in there. But this kind of helps you get an idea where it's like, oh yeah, so maybe maybe you might create a method called check mouse events, and within mouse events you check for mouse events, and then you get information like that. So everything's just like, it really helps when you have names that are meaningful and you organize your code, and it's just, and you put a lot of comments as well. Okay, so I'll leave that space like that there. So all these little details make a huge difference in your code as far as working it. Alright, so let's make some modifications to this code anyway. Let's see what we were doing. Let's see, in there, we were blasting the cylinder, and then, now we have this icosphere in here, so let's just go do something with the icosphere. It's called icosphere, so I'd come up here and get the cylinder and the icosphere. And then in that case, maybe I'll just copy this code here. And I could just call it icosphere. I could actually mirror the name of the object within the code just like that if I want. Alright, now I have the icosphere available to me within the code down here as well. And then we'll just do something with it. We'll just say icosphere. Oh, how about this? Icosphere, instead of apply force like this, there's another command. Let's see, let's go grab this one like this that doesn't necessarily just apply the force. It does just a movement. Alright, so icosphere, I'll just paste it right there like this. Icosphere dot apply movement, like that. That's a command. And I'll just make it like -7 here. Alright, so there's another command in your arsenal for working. Let's see what happens when we run it. Press the right key, and you can see it's just moving like that. I'll stop it here, and you'll see I press the right arrow key, and it just moves it. It doesn't continually move it like a force. I'm not applying a force that continually runs it. It's just setting the position, incrementing it like that. All right. Well, you can look it up. Just type in apply movement under under Google or under Blender's website, and you'll see what it does. All right. Well, that's it for this lesson, and I'll see you in the next lesson.